Bring this month's meeting of the Support Services Committee to order. I'll start by entertaining a motion to approve last month's meeting minutes. Motion made by Supervisor McGowan, second by Supervisor Hogan. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And we're going to bounce around a little bit. I want to start, just in case someone gets a phone call and they have to leave, Mary needs a resolution which requires 2/3. So, Mary?
Yes. So the only thing I'm going to do right now is my first request. Last month I talked about that my first assistant left. We talked about that last month. So this month I'm bringing through a request to fill the first assistant county attorney spot.
Motion by Supervisor Leggett, second by Supervisor McGowan. Discussion? Supervisor Leggett.
Are you interviewing?
I did some interviews, yes. I'm going to keep the posting open for another month.
Another month?
Mhm.
Okay. And you're able to carry load okay now?
I'm going to be very happy when someone else starts.
Supervisor Wild.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is this person you're going to hire going to be past the boards?
I will never do that again.
Thank you.
Further questions, discussion? Okay, call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, that's it. We'll be back with you, Mary. Mike from IT, please.
Afternoon. First, normally I would wear clean clothes, but you're finishing a wiring project just finished an hour ago.
Which I will say is very understated what he just did. It's actually an amazing story. If anybody wanted to have him explain it for 5 minutes, I would like you to. Because people don't know what you folks do. They think you just plug in laptops.
Yeah, so we were, Countryside was looking at replacing a phone system that's ages old, like most of our outlying centers. You're looking at thousands of dollars, $5,000 to $6,000, and we found a way to do it for $600. And so we had to just go do some wiring, connect back, but we actually be on the county phone system, reduces all their phone bills in the future. We don't have to all that outlay in the beginning, and makes us supporting them much easier, and so I get the wires all run, and done for the last day and a half.
Supervisor McGowan.
Larry, we choose you're retired today, and that's okay. So
All right.
thanks for being relaxed.
Thank you.
Supervisor Garrity.
Just happy he found his way in Warrenton.
By the way, where is that? We got some signs put up.
Just follow the motorcycle.
All right, go ahead, Mike.
Requesting permission, not a resolution, I guess, for my intensive bill form. We had a position approved in the budget, and it's been a long process through civil service, and then it kind of all fell apart, really, 4 weeks ago, and then the following week, stumbled into somebody very qualified and willing to take the position. So I did my intensive bill form, and didn't realize I was supposed to also come to committee with us, so I was snuck in at the last minute.
Okay, we do need a resolution for that. Resolution made by Supervisor Wild, second by Supervisor Hogan. Discussion?
Any idea why it was so hard to find people?
The civil service process, I really can't explain. We started in November, because I had a position open in January, and it wasn't until 4 weeks ago I got the list of one person. And then that person came to interview and didn't want the job because of the salary. And then a week later I was at a conference, and I was whining to somebody about my situation and said, I know of somebody, and it all worked out. I had like very good references on somebody, and it just kind of worked out great. Interview, lots of experience. So a lot of it's kept, based on the IT field is really, really difficult with getting people with salaries and things.
It'll depend on when the test is next given, whether the person will take it over competitive or promotionally.
Okay. No further questions? The call of question. We do actually need a motion. We got a motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Very good. Thank you, Mike.
Just one other question for Mike, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind. Mike, we talked offline once about the audits. Could you just give us an update of where we stand with the audits?
Yeah, so we're still waiting for our final results from the Board of Elections one, meaning the State Board of Elections paid for us. We did it all, we're just waiting for the final results. There was a lot of stuff I wanted to get done, we just finished getting done. So as soon as we get that one, so we can follow up on whatever they find, and then check with the Controller's Office and some other ones to have another set of eyes look at our stuff
Good,
too.
good. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that.
Very good. Thank you very much. Keep up the good work. Next, we'll do Board of Elections.
I have one. Thank you.
Okay.
I just want to say, IT has been in our office for the last month and a half, 2 months, to the point that we wanted to give Mike a chair and a desk. But I'll tell you, without him, we'd be lost in the Board of Elections. They've done some tremendous work up there, and we really appreciate his department. As I think everyone got the packet. So I guess the first thing on our agenda is the request to renew our contract and bid with Fort Orange Press. Jason brought it down to us. There was no change in the price, and it's a company that we use to do all of our basically election printing, and Beth, you've been with them longer, maybe.
They're ballots
And everything else, and it's just
they're a great company. They're close by. They're Albany. They've made a mistake. Come back, pick up the items, and they're there the next day. Good company.
Moved by Supervisor Leggett, second by Supervisor McGowan. Further discussion and questions? Supervisor McGowan.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Are you on this committee, by the way?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I've been double checking. I was so embarrassed. You missed it earlier. This 5-year contract, I mean, if we're going with the new super de-duper machine.
1 year with an option to renew each year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yes, here and then we do it.
Supervisor Wild.
I just had on line 1, the top one, section 1, up to 200,000 ballots. Is that just like their pricing range?
Yeah.
Because we only have 60,000
Yeah.
residents, right?
Yep.
And we also have to, we are supposed to order 110%, which we do not at this point. We do it based on history and then based on what the election is looking at for us.
Further questions? Okay. We need a motion. Did we get a motion already? All right, I'll call a question. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Number 2, discussion early voting laws and other laws that we're signed into. The reason we put that on the agenda is we didn't know what was coming and what wasn't coming from the state. I think both Beth and I are happy to announce that most recently, since our last meeting, there hasn't been many changes or any changes that we really need to be aware of. We are aware that there are some sitting in the houses right now that will probably come into effect here in the very near future, but right now they're sitting there, they haven't moved, so there's really not much to update on that. On the update and discussion of electronic poll books, Beth, you want to take that one? And
Yesterday we had our state BOE conference call. We were hoping to have some pertinent information. The commissioners are meeting next June 6th, I believe it's Thursday, to hopefully certify, I believe there's 5 companies for the e-poll books. And also within 2 weeks, we're hoping we'll have a final answer on our grant money. And did you attach to that?
If you'll look in your packet,
You
you'll
have
see
it.
the $14 million and
$10
million
what
local
will be
grants.
coming to us. So it equals $88,344. So again, it is up to the approval of the director of the budget. So hopefully by mid-June, we'll have that ready to go. We are ready to order, just waiting for that OGS contract. We feel we have a pretty good price already from Tenex. We've been working with them continuously, different items. And that's, this letter we emailed after our last meeting, just kind of how we would run with and without e-poll books and with and without on-demand balloting. Yesterday we went back and threw some figures in. So at the end you do see, again, it's estimates, the best we could predict. The first column's all paper, it's your big long one.
I think this is the thing that Supervisor Wild, you were looking for,
Yeah.
some type of a comparison to show, and we did it the best we could do it. It's kind of tough, only because the man hours that it's going to take, we had to try to figure them the best we could, the people hours that it was going to be to work this, so some of them are approximate figures and stuff. And I think the important thing is now that we know definitely that we're getting around $88,000 from the state to kick in for the electronic poll books. And right now, our closest figure that we can get to purchase the equipment and buy the equipment, we're looking somewhere around the area of $96,000 to $97,000. So it would be an additional $11,000, somewhere around $11,000 that the county would have to chip in. Having said that, I will say that there is $84,000, that a little over $84,000 that was moved to our capital reserve project that we put together. It's going to be up to the county's choice here, what they want to do. Do they want to leave that money alone for future purchases of the voting machines? This money of purchasing of these poll books, if we get permission from the board to move forward and purchase these, and we're not looking for that permission today, but just something to think about, this money is going to have to be fronted, and it will be a reimbursement by the state, as typical with state grants. Once we front them, once the county fronts the money, the state will give them we'll give them the bill. They'll reimburse the $88,000, and then the extra $11,000 we're going to have to come up with. The county is going to have to make a decision where they want to come up with that money as we move forward.
I have one small piece to add to this. I'm not sure in terms of the number you're looking at, the 96,462. I spoke with my counterparts in Washington County and Saratoga County yesterday. There is one vendor that I think we've all been looking at that would offer us some sort of a discount if all three counties go for it. I would just ask that you talk to your counterparts, the other commissioners in those two counties.
Yeah, actually,
You did?
Jeff yesterday in Washington County and Bill in Saratoga County.
Okay.
I didn't mention it to Bill today, that I spoke with Bill in Saratoga, so we've been busy this morning.
So is it possible that 96 would come down further?
It's possible. I mean, they have said to us at Tenex that this is actually a better price than it's going to be in the OGS contract. But
Okay.
Cheaper than what
we'll
the other-
definitely reach out.
Absolutely. I mean, we were the one, a couple of our supervisors here were over there with us and saw the demonstration of this 10X poll book that we're looking at. And we actually put them in touch with Washington County and Saratoga County and said, so absolutely, I mean, if they want to give us a discount for a group rate, that'd be great. But we'll definitely reach out to them. And like I said, we're not here right now looking for any money from the board. We want to give them something to think about. We wanted to give them this to look at. But in the very near future, I would say probably next month, we'll be knocking on the door to say...
I mean, we would like to be able to come next month, hopefully, and get this moving. We have our inspector training in July. Tenex would work with us to get something in place for that training.
Supervisor Wild.
Thanks.
Supervisor Wild.
You know, I'd love to go through this spreadsheet a bit.
Sure.
But I'm curious, one of the things that pops out is the grant is for, like, something we're going to use over the next 10 years, right? Or is it grant just for your 2020?
No, we can use it. You know, it's probably will work like, again, we don't know the details yet.
Right, so-
It'll probably work like when we bought our voting machines. So money was there to use, and then it ended up being the shoebox money.
So when we roll this up, this is just for 2020. What about for the next 10 years?
No, so if you look at, go look to the last line, all e-poll book. Now this is for an election next year, what it would cost for every year. So next year we're looking at 3 elections. And again, we have no idea how many early voters we're going to get. We had almost 1,500 OTCs in 16, so we based it on 2,000 early voters coming to our early poll site. So the annual maintenance fee for the e-poll book is $11,250. We will not need to print any more poll books. That's zero. The VRA, which is our voter referral system, which we use now, will no longer be needed because an e-poll book would do the same thing.
And that's if I can interject, that's a $7,000 a year contract that we're into now that will go away. We will no longer need the VRA for $7,000 a year.
Pre-printed ballots, again, if we didn't get the on-demand printers, it's $28.80, because that's a 48 cents per ballot. With an on-demand printer, which I believe the cost is like $750, again, with that purchase, just printing the ballots is $540. And then labor would be much less, because we'd be able to upload those voter histories, run those reports, and get those e-poll books ready for deployment on Monday morning. So that would be the cost for next year, without the initial cost of buying the equipment this year. Does that make sense to you?
So one of the things that I asked for, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, was an understanding of whether or not it was beneficial to invest the money for this year to get some learning in preparation in 2020.
Well, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
So we're going to spend more money this year than we need to, right? Because we're going to try to get this learning. We don't have to. We could do it the old way.
No, you're not, this is good, this is a amount of money that you're gonna pay anyways, once we go. As you said last meeting, they are not mandated at this point, poll books.
Right.
There's no doubt in our mind or in any board of elections across the county that they're going to be mandated. It's just a matter of them putting the law together and dropping it on us again. But the initial cost is gonna be the factor for this year alone. Once this initial cost is gone, you won't see that 96,462 again. For as long as I'm going to be here, I can tell you that much. But I mean, because that's going to be our initial drop. You will see the $11,250 yearly licensing and maintenance contract or whatever. But
So here's, if I can, Mr. Chairman. So my concern is that the law isn't defined yet, and we're going to select a vendor that has a certain capability in their software and their hardware, but the law may change, and they may have to change their hardware and software to satisfy the law.
Yeah, not quite, because they're under certification mode right now. The state has got to certify this equipment. Once this equipment is certified, it's going to be no different than what our Dominion voting machines are. When they bought those back, actually when I was sitting on the board when we bought those, they had to go through state certification, and you couldn't buy outside that state certification. So they're right now, as of June 6th, we spoke to the Deputy of Operations in New York State Board of Elections yesterday. They have a meeting June 6th to certify and get these machines ready to go. So we can't purchase until we receive the notice from them. Here's your list of certified people that you can purchase from.
So again, I'm just going to take one step further. There's no risk of these things being outdated by a new law.
That $11,250 is all your maintenance and updates. So if there's any software updates, they're going to give us those each year.
And I see exactly what you're saying. What you're saying is that the government could bring in some new laws next year that say these things are no good. That's what, again, what that $11,250, and that's what the state is certifying, that as it moves forward and as the laws go forward, that these are compatible with the law. Hey, so rock can fall off any hill anytime. So, I mean, but that's why they're doing the certification.
I guess just to make sure that the contract, whatever contract we sign, we make sure that, if they can't satisfy what the new law says, we get our money back.
Well, that's, and I'm sure that's something that when we work with the county attorney, when we work with the county administrator, that's all stuff that we'll look at. And
you guys know I'm new to this political game, right? And I know that the state sometimes will come and surprise us. That's what I want to try to prevent.
We found that out about 11 times this year.
We're talking to this gentleman almost weekly because we need a lot of different things, and they're going to work with us for what we want. For instance, our poll workers can sign in when they get to their spot now. So we're hoping to do away with paper completely there. So they sign up e-poll book. We call the auditor. She'll take that signature as a electronic signature. But she needs a statement stating that this is true. So we sent them those wordings, and they're working with us to get that in their software. They're working with us, just our county, of what we want to see. And then they're working with the states that certifies what's needed for election law.
And I'll tell you, the first round of quotes that we got them were a little padded, and Beth and I took the time to look at them. I mean, there were some Bluetooth printers that the way that we set up our election process now, there's no reason to print a receipt and hand it to somebody else to go get your ballot. Because as you know, you go to that table, you sign in, you go to the next person, you get your ballot, and you go to the voting machine. Well, that Bluetooth printer was set up so that you sign in, you get a receipt, you go to another table and get your ballot. We don't need those. So we eliminated 90 Bluetooth printers to the tune of, I can't think right now, I want to say $27,000 that was in the bid that we don't need. I mean, we really didn't. So, it's been pick and choose, and this company, as Beth said, has been fantastic. I mean, there's some different things that we want to see in there, and they're putting them in there. They're working them.
Okay, I have a question before Mr. McGowan. 2-3 months ago, the number for these e-poll books was $350,000. I believe Supervisor Wild raised a couple eyebrows on that.
Mm-hmm.
Was that just
We
no
had-
investigation approximation?
We had to put figures together for the state, so they could ask for money. And they asked us, to do your worst-case scenario and put those figures together, and that's what we did, 62 counties. We did a spreadsheet that went to the legislature. This is where we ended up with this pot of money to be distributed. But now, those e-poll book people, they've been, working with the state, with the counties, and they're working within those figures.
Okay.
Our
but-
first initial e-poll book pad was 12.5.
Yeah.
What are they now?
$395. $395.
$329. So
And their
it's
first
about
number was what? 12?
$1,250.
Okay, very good.
And now they're $396, I think it is.
Thank you. Mr.
But
McGowan?
again, they've sharpened their pencil, like we talked to the gentleman that come over and showed it to them, sharpen your pencil. Yeah.
Mr. McGowan, then Driscoll.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a few questions there, nothing. Will you be doing another display like you had, bringing the poll books? Because I'll tell you, the people that didn't happen, the supervisors that didn't happen to be at that meeting, I found it fascinating. And then I went to vote on the school budget, and I had the opportunity of running into Mr. Vaness and going over the voting machines. And let me tell you, I mean, I could see it all put together, and it was fascinating, and the simplicity and the error, it's all taken out. You sign the poll book, and right from when you sign the poll book, your ballot is printed out right there. So there's no more waste of ballots. Eventually, you'll end up with less people. You get this piece of paper, you go in, you stick it in the machine, it goes in, and it's not even a touch screen, it's kind of like a touch screen, but it's a wave screen. I mean, but you just get over, you can go back, you can change your mistakes, and then when you hit ready, it prints that out, and you get to view what's printed on that, and then you hit the button, and then it's gone. I was just amazed. So it's a lot of money, but I can see why. But now that the pencils are being sharpened, it's coming in. But if you can get another show, it'd be nice to have both companies there. And like I said, to let
The new
some.
machines, the 21 is going to be the earliest.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it just gives an idea how we're moving forward. But the poll books, the simplicity of it, the way it's going to work out and to help everybody else, and the information and how quickly you can get that off. It all comes back to the main hub here. I mean, it was just amazing of information. So if you could get them back and maybe get it where some of the other supervisors that didn't have an opportunity.
And I think what Supervisor McGowan is referring to is during the Queensbury School budget process, we had asked ES&S, which is a voting machine company that we're looking at, to come up and do a demonstration at the school budget. They actually brought up 2 machines and brought personnel up, and people actually had an opportunity to do a mock vote on these new machines that we've been talking about and looking at. And that's where Supervisor McGowan saw the machine, and that's how it came out and very quickly, there were a little over, I think it was 1,022 people that voted on the Queensbury School budget. Out of them, we had 10.8% of the people, or 111, that stopped by and did a mock vote on that machine. And we had 2 derogatory questionnaires that came back to us, but I think they were misread, because anybody and everybody we showed those machines to were elated. But, I mean, I don't want to get off on the machines because they're really not part of our presentation.
Right, yeah.
But I appreciate it. But the poll books now, we're required, as we said before, by law, to upload history ASAP on all voters that come in. With something like this, instead of having to manually and physically go through each and every poll book, 42 of them, this is basically pulling a thumb drive out, putting it in the machine, and letting it upload into NTS their voting history is uploaded, it's done. So it's taking that hours away.
Start with Supervisor Driscoll.
Thank you, Chairman. I may be jumping the gun a little bit, but there's got to be a lot of education and information that needs to get out there, and I know that you have in your budget to do the public notices and the PostStar prior to all elections. I see a need for possibly to make sure that there's some additional funds in order to get that out there. A lot of people are intimidated and really get uptight about changes. I worked with a lady yesterday in her 80s who has never owned a cell phone, has never sat in front of a computer, and has never even had a charge card. So I mean, there's people in our communities that that technology isn't part of their vocabulary. And I want to make sure that we're making efforts to increase voting numbers. I don't want to scare people away because they think that they can't do it. Also, people who might regularly use absentee ballots, if there's additional opportunities for them to vote. Again, the information sharing and making sure that whether it's through a public notice or some type of a mailing, that people are informed and they realize
Ballot check cards is the first piece of that through the year, and that tells you your elections for the year. This year actually has all the the early voting notice on there, has your absentee information.
Right. And I think our greatest asset, to be honest with you, has been, believe it or not, social media. We've been trying to keep our Facebook page up to date, and the responses that we've gotten off of the social media, so that's something that we can do. Port Chester, downstate, use the ESS machine, and they've got a fantastic video on there if you ever want to get on there. But with these e-poll books, it's probably going to see a better change for the people than what you're not going to see, because it's simply a flip iPad where they find, Bennett Driscoll's name, and they go, okay, now they flip this over, the whole screen turns over, and all you see is your name right there and your address. You sign it, flips it back to the inspector, and you go to the next person and grab your ballot, and it's done. There's no more flipping through the pages. There's no, So I mean, I agree the education is going to have to be there, but I think it's going to be the first step in progression. I think
We would like to have them in place this year just to prepare.
Okay, thanks.
Supervisor Hogan.
Didn't have anything.
Oh, you did raise your hand earlier.
I just want to make sure I'm reading this spreadsheet correctly. So the capital cost is somewhere around $96,462, of which we have a commitment from the state at $88,344. Our share of the capital cost estimated at this stage is $8,118.
Correct.
I don't consider that all that significant, and I think that from a financial point of view, and the interaction most people have, the only interaction they really ever have with the public is signing the name, right?
Right.
I mean, you guys are the ones that have managed the poll book.
Right.
They walk into the voting booth, the voting place, and just sign it.
Right.
And you're right, sometimes it takes a while to find them. And so there's also delays associated, so this is going to make it much more efficient.
This is three initials from your first name, 3 initials from your second or your last name.
But where I want to get with this is, just to make sure I'm reading this correctly. So, the spreadsheet, what you're saying is that you believe, or you're stating that that we would save in terms of printing of poll books. For NTS printing poll books, $6,324.
That's great.
Try to keep
Per election.
And this is going
That's
next
per
to
election.
That's per
next
election.
year,
That's per election.
2020 with 3 elections.
And then you have a lot, and then is that in addition to that, you got the in-house printing that's involved? Or is that either?
So, I believe it was Supervisor Wild to have us all down. So that NPS prints our poll books now. Now, it was asked what if we printed them?
Okay.
So that's that.
So, if I take the lower number, the savings, you estimate the savings to move away from paper for that line is $19,503 a year.
That would be the total.
For three,
For 3 elections.
for 3 elections.
Three
And if
elections,
we printed
correct.
it, it's 24. And then if you move down to poll books just for early voting, so we would still need paper poll books.
Right.
So then that's 23,548 with the pre-printed ballots. And then 21,208 if we had the on-demand for the early voting. So if you sign that e-poll book and had the on-demand ballot, so your ballot would print as soon as you sign that, so we wouldn't have to order ballots ahead of time.
So your estimate on the savings would be, for 3 elections, totally on that would be how much?
Well, it'd be the difference between the
Between
14.
those
Yep.
two, but this is like the total cost for the year if we had the process of.
Right.
Um,
The reason I'm saying this is the number I think, from a financial, it may be worth doing just to do it because it's a better system, I'm not questioning that, is that from a financial point of view, the capital cost is, our end is nominal, but then we have the 11,250 sustaining cost, right?
Correct.
So what I'm trying to get to is, what do you estimate to be our savings to move to electronic annually?
Well, if we take the highest one,
Right,
well,
and you
let's see.
deduct it.
It's hard because there's so many different scenarios here.
If you take, yeah,
We'll give you
So
about-
5,000, if you go all paper,
Yeah.
poll book, top one with NPS printing the poll books, because that's a better savings there, so that's 19,503. So then if we went all e-poll book with on-demand balloting, that's 12,314. So that's $7,200.
$7,000 in savings.
$7,000
Right.
savings per year.
Yeah.
And that's adding in all the line items going across.
Yep.
And then you're gonna lose $7,000 in the
Well,
VRA
that's- yeah,
contract,
and that's-
so there's an additional
Well, that's what I'm
14.
getting at. I
Why?
just, actually, that's just one line item.
That's just one line
Now you
item.
gotta add the 7,000 to it.
No,
Correct.
because that's gone.
You're gonna lose that, right.
For the
No.
savings.
Right. But the VRA, that's gone. If we go to all e-poll books, as you see, the VRA is gone,
Right.
because the e-poll book does the same thing.
So isn't that a $7,000 savings or not?
Yeah, additionally. Is that what you're saying?
That's
Yeah.
what I
Yeah.
was trying to get.
Okay, yeah.
I'm trying to, I don't see a summary, I don't see a cost benefit summary, I'm just trying to quickly in my head.
Mhm.
It looks to me like there's a pretty significant cost benefit to this, but
You're not gonna, even with the grant money, you're not gonna notice the savings
I
overnight.
think it's a wash.
It's gonna,
definitely.
it's gonna be down the road before you're gonna actually see the overall savings
do you think
But-
it would be a wash?
at the end.
You still need a
It would be
quorum.
a wash.
It's just
we
between the
have-
7,000 yearly that we're paying now and
Chairman, towards the quorum.
11,500.
It'll be a wash financially.
I'm
All
sorry.
right,
I'm just trying to
Yeah.
understand.
Correct.
we don't want to lose our quorum.
Right, is there any action to be taken?
Well, we will have the chairman here.
Did they vote on the Fort Orange contract?
Yes, get that so.
I want to say before any other things, you want to move ahead with this next month. I don't want to get into a position next month where we have a whole list of questions and we're pushed into July and August.
Yeah.
So we need to make sure that we're on the path
Yeah.
to move ahead next month.
Yeah.
And that's
what we
basically
would like
why
to
we're
see.
here today.
And the other items on this agenda, they're all taken care of anyway.
Okay, Larry, you want to say
For
something?
electronic poll book?
About theirs, no.
Okay.
But I need a...
On my reading, it was.
You need a quorum.
That's
Well, we have
okay.
everybody, if Supervisor Legacy, we still have the chairman.
And we've shared a lot with the administrator. I didn't know, Brian, was there anything that you can think of that we've forgotten that
No.
we delivered here? I mean,
No, it's, you know, the e-poll books, they're optional at this point. They will assist us in preventing fraud and, you know, meeting that mandate, and there is a possibility that they can result in operating savings as well when you factor in the labor savings and the VRA savings.
And we actually have to rearrange everything really quickly. We have to end the discussion. I apologize for that because we're going to lose two members of our committee, which will mean we will not have a quorum and we will not be able to go home until next month. So, is there anything else from the Board of Elections?
the other three that are on our agenda, we pretty much taken care of already on the outside. We talked to Ryan, we talked to some other people, so, I mean, we just wanted to let you know that they moved the money into the account, the money for the lunches and stuff we took care of with Carla and all this other, and the extra postage is just to advise you that due to the early voting, our postage is going to eventually be up this year because we had a lot of returns. But other than that, our money's in our budget, we don't need anything on that.
You're all
So
set.
I guess we just want to make sure that we kind of know where the money's going to come from when we're ready to do.
Well, so there is no money right now, it would have to come from contingency?
Yeah, I'll think, respond to this budget officer, let me know.
Oh, yeah, there he is.
Hopefully next month.
You were behind Beth, I couldn't see you there.
Pay up front and wait for reimbursement based scenario, the typical state, you know, we have to put the money up, they'll reimburse us, and the only thing that's gonna be left outstanding is, right now, is roughly $8,000, a little over $8,000 that we're gonna have to find somewhere to help purchase these, because that, what the grant won't cover.
I know we need to move on, but I just noticed, I asked for the comparison of what it's going to save us this year and cost this year. These numbers are for next year's election. You guys didn't give me what I asked for.
Well,
I asked for how much, if we delayed this, how much is it going to cost us for this year's election? Next year is going to be mandated. We have to do it next year. Right? So how do these numbers change for this year? So when we come back next month, you know, maybe we can talk about it before the committee meeting, and I'll work with you guys to try to get my questions answered. But I still don't understand, what's the cost benefit of doing it this year versus waiting next year?
just take those and divide them by 3 and you get it per election.
So basically nothing, then, right? That's $7,000 a year, it's maybe $2,000. Maybe.
Well, you're gonna lose the VRA, I mean, which is a $7,000 contract, that's gonna go away. That's right off the top.
And I know we gotta move on, but I'll come by and talk some more.
We appreciate that.
So you guys are all set? You answered your question?
For the 8,000, the other.
The 88 is like a receivable, like a due fund. That's not a problem.
Basically a loan to the state until the state reimburses you.
Right, right. Checks in the mail.
So we know that process, right?
Question on the 80.
We wanted to give you, and that's what we wanted to do today, was just give the committee the ability to decide where they wanted to do it and how they wanted to do it.
If there's any questions between now and then.
Look, if we move this forward next month, according to these parameters, it would be a budget amendment putting in the state funding, and it'll be the remainder out of fund balance or out of contingency or wherever. So, assuming the numbers don't change.
Correct.
And then we save the capital fund for the voting machines. That would be my view.
Thank you, we like that.
Okay.
All right.
Second that motion.
Thank you very much. Okay. Now we have to go, before we lose our quorum, we have to go with something with Mary. So Mary, go ahead.
Yeah, so the most important issue on my agenda needs an executive session because it's possible settlement of a case that's currently in litigation.
So moved.
Are you okay with that?
Second.
I have to, I need a quorum. If they want to settle, I need to have a vote. McNulty versus Warren County. McNulty versus Warren County.
Okay, motion for executive session. Supervisor Hogan, second. Supervisor Gowan, all in favor? Guess I'll take that as a yes. And what's your actual time element, Supervisor Hogan and Supervisor Leggett?
Time element. 10 minutes ago.
Give you what you need.
We are out of executive session. No votes or decisions were made during the executive session. We're back in open session.
Okay, so the only other thing I need a vote on, Mike Swan asked us to bring a bunch of occupancy tax lawsuits. So I need permission from the board to enter into those lawsuits. I also need you to ratify 2 that I already filed in small claims court last week. So I'm asking for ratification of 2 small claims actions for occupancy tax, And I'm also asking for a blanket resolution in the future to bring any occupancy tax lawsuits that the treasurer asks me to.
You get it on the floor, Supervisor McGowan, motion, second by Supervisor Hogan. Questions? Supervisor McGowan?
But it's people that collected it and are not paying us, or?
Correct.
All right, yeah.
Supervisor Hogan?
Is there any circumstance under which we would not go after somebody for this?
Legally, no.
Okay.
Huh.
I just didn't know, you know,
I will certainly update you every time I bring one, but I just want to have the authority, because poor Mike has been waiting since December for me to do this, so.
what are the amounts?
The two in small claims court are under 3,000, and then we have a couple, we have one for 700,000, we have one for 300,000, they range.
How long do we let them go before we...
Well, I think part of the problem was in the past the treasurer didn't have anyone to do audits, so they recently hired someone specifically for that purpose, so now we're getting an influx of a bunch that we need to commence.
Someone has not paid us $700,000 in occupancy tax?
Seems that way.
Okay, let's move forward.
But they collected it.
Yes, based on, so we get to see their tax returns, and based on their tax returns, they have collected it.
Okay. Further questions? We have a motion and a second. Further questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you, everyone.
That's it?
That's all I need for voting. Do you want to discuss anything?
You lump both of those things, the small claims and the general,
Together.
into one?
Yeah.
Okay.
We get a word.
I think the last thing is just discussion.
You want to give Amanda her two things?
Yes,
like
all right.
rapid
We're
fire?
going to go to, the clerk, give me 3 minutes here. Go ahead.
I just have two things that I think will be quick. The first one is a request to amend the county meeting use policy. We've been going through our policies, just reviewing, trying to find what's updated.
Do you need a vote on these things?
Okay, I'm sorry. So in your packet, there's a copy of the policy and shows the changes. These are all the changes that were suggested by Ryan and Mary. And they're just nothing, some huge kind of administrative changes.
I thought I was actually pretty good. It allowed, second, it allowed flexibility on our end.
Yes.
Any discussion, questions?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Owen?
My second thing was last year...
You want a new car?
Last year I was appointed to the Executive Committee on the New York State Association of Clerks of County Legislative Boards, and I was appointed for a term to fill in for someone who had been moved to a different board, and this year I was reappointed for my own 2-year appointment, so I was just asking for the board's blessing on that. We do that by resolution, just so that if there are meetings...
Motion made by Supervisor Driscoll, second by Supervisor McGowan. All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion?
Aye.
Questions? No?
Just a comment, I think that an investment in these professional trade associations can be helpful as far as training, networking, bringing information back from other counties and communities. So I think it's always a good investment if our staff are willing and able to engage in these types of initiatives and organizations. So I would support that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mention cocktail
Carried.
parties, right?
You're all set, very good, and we just have, nothing that's going to need a vote?
No.
Okay? Nothing further that's going to need a vote except to adjourn, but, we just go home.
I want to hear what it is.
Yeah, I can start off. Do we want to do this open?
I don't want to discuss
I have no problem with this open.
Okay, so we had the county back in 2007, 2008. 2008, Travis? Yeah. The county DPW did a bunch of work of Finkelbrook. I think there was a washout. I believe it all happened up in Bolton. And we did over $300,000 worth of work. We were going to get reimbursement for half of that through the Lake George, what's the official name? The Lake George Watershed Conference. The county DPW sent a reimbursement request to Dave Decker, for that. The entire amount was 120, what was it, 150,000. Yeah, well, suffice it to say, we got everything back except for $50,000. That $50,000 was paid by the state to the town of Queensbury. Queensbury, I believe, and Bolton were also grant administrators. We got everything from Bolton. There was 100 that was supposed to come through Queensbury. We got one $50,000 payment. We didn't get the other $50,000 payment. Queensbury, as the contractor with the state, is responsible. They further subcontracted the work out to Mr. Decker, is responsible for the acts of their subcontractors. What happened was, we requested the money from Decker. Decker vouchered Queensbury for the money. Two separate vouchers, $50,000 each, two distinct vouchers where he certified that these are reimbursements for Warren County DPW. His signature's right on them. Submitted to Queensbury, audited by Queensbury, both of them paid by Queensbury on different dates. We have all the paperwork. The county received payment for one of those sums of $50,000. We never got the other 50. For years, I think I've heard that Decker was saying the state never paid the town. Decker was telling our treasurer's office, no, the town never paid me. Mike Swan worked with the Queensbury officials in 2017, almost 2 years ago, to pull all the paperwork together, and we can prove that Decker was paid by the town of Queensbury. We never saw that money. That was supposed to be the flow. State to Queensbury, to Decker, out to anybody that was owed the money. So what we're looking at is, we believe we have a fraud claim against Dave Decker. And Mary can speak to the legal implications. Travis knows more about this than I do. The information I've looked at, he has all of that and more.
Mary?
Yep, sure. So Ryan and I, we've been talking about this for a really long time, and the only claim that I still see legally feasible at this point would be a lawsuit against Dave Decker. And basically what the lawsuit would allege is constructive fraud, breach of a fiduciary duty, sorry, I don't remember all these off the top of my head, conversion, unjust enrichment, and promissory estoppel. Because this happened back in 2008, the statute of limitations on breach of contract, anything like that, ran after 6 years, so that would have been 2014. The reason that these specific claims are saved is because it's 2 years from the date that you knew or reasonably should have known. So our documentation shows that the county didn't know that Decker was paid until June 19th of 2017. So we have to file this before June 19th if you want to move forward in that direction.
So you need a vote to...
Well, I don't have a quorum, but...
Yes, you do.
Oh, I do? Oh, okay.
The chairman is here.
We already have authority delegated. We have an obligation to inform the board that we're going after something like this.
Right, then we don't need a vote.
I mean, I might be more comfortable with a vote on this one, but we don't need it.
Would you be more?
Yes, I would prefer a vote.
What's that?
I would just be more comfortable having a resolution.
We have a majority.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
So a motion, do we need a motion to vote?
we need a motion to vote.
I make a motion. that
Motion
we,
by Supervisor Wild, second by
pursue this.
Supervisor McGowan.
Yeah.
Questions from the committee? Hold on. You actually are not part of the committee, I just wanted to let you know.
Know that.
Okay. Questions from the committee? No. Okay. Relevant input.
Thank you. I just wanted to explain the two pieces of paper that I asked. I got under foil over the last several years.
Right now?
Can I go?
Which,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5?
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry.
Have a good weekend. Go ahead.
I just wanted to explain. Actually, you don't have a quorum anymore.
We do with the chairman.
Excuse me?
The chairman is ex officio, so we will have a quorum.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to explain those three pieces of paper, and I wanted to make sure you had them in your possession. And prior to, voting, it's always good to have all the information in front of you. I'm not going to read them all because you've got them in front of you, but I wanted to point out a couple of things. On that first page, what I call the first page with the spreadsheet on the top, I'd like to draw to your attention the under the certification that was signed by Dan Steck as supervisor back in 2007, that he had to certify to the state before he got this reimbursement that, among other things, number 5, that the people who performed the work under the agreement have been compensated or will be compensated. Now, it's clear from what you heard from Mr. Moore that we have not been compensated. So, to me, there's really nothing more than that that's needed to go ahead and say that, if it were me, and if I were the supervisor or the subsequent supervisor, that I would feel obligated to make good on the work that Warren County did. And, as stated, Warren County only billed for half of the value of that work. But if you need more information, you can go to the letter sent to Mr. Strau 2 years ago from the Department of State, which was sent to him shortly after the arrest of Dave Decker, and that's when everybody started understanding about these things, because earlier than that, most of the information was being withheld from the public. And in particular, where I had marked the second paragraph in there, that the town of Queensbury, as grantee in receipt of New York State funding, remains responsible for the integrity of the expenditure of public grant funds, including those expended by its subcontractor through the entirety of the EPF contract time frame. And then it references a statement within the contract that was signed by the town of Queensbury, saying that if the contractor enters into subcontracts for the performance of work pursuant to the master contract, the contractor shall take full responsibility for the acts and omissions of its subcontractors, i.e. David Decker. Nothing in the subcontract shall impair the rights of the state under the master contract. No contractual relationship shall be deemed to exist between subcontractor and the state. So I think that makes it pretty darn clear as of June 27, 2017. And then a month later, we have a exchange of information between Mike Swan inquiring about the $50,000 owed to Barb Turney at the town, and she says that sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but the payments have been made to Mr. Decker. I hope the county will recoup the $50,000. Well, that's fine, but contractually, really, it's the responsibility of the town. I would suggest you not consider a lawsuit against Mr. Decker for several reasons. First of all, he's not responsible. Second of all, it's doubtful whether he'd be able to recover a dime from somebody who has the purported gambling habits that got him into this problem in the first place, and has 2 lawyers that he's going to have to pay off considerable sums of money to before he ever gets around to thinking about paying you guys. So why you would want to go after Mr. Decker and not the town is of considerable concern, particularly and in light of the statements from the Department of State. And I just want to make sure you had that in front of you. You should have these pages. Amanda did distribute to them, and thank you for the time.
Here.
Wow.
Committee, okay. Well, we still have a quorum. It looks like we're decimated here. So did we make a motion on that?
Yeah, we just didn't vote on it.
Okay.
Now, if I just follow up with what we have from Mr. Whitehead. Mary, Mr. Whitehead makes a claim that legally it's the town that's responsible. In my mind, I don't believe the town acted in any manner that purposely resulted in the county not getting paid. I think it was Decker's responsibility, but with Mr. Whitehead's statements, Would you comment about whether or not it's actually the town of Queensbury that's ultimately responsible for this?
No, I will not. But my reason for doing so is because it doesn't matter at this point. And the reason I say that is because the statute of limitations ran in 2014. There's not a thing I can do to sue Queensbury at this point.
Okay.
The statute of limitations is not a suggestion. It is a bar from suing someone after that period of time. So this was the best we could do 11 years later.
Okay, thank you. I'm ready to vote.
All right, call the question. We've got Chairman Conover, you're voting.
John?
Did you want to make a comment?
Are you voting with us?
I'm not voting.
You may.
I have a question
You may.
So, with that being said, and understanding it, I'm not a legal mind or anything, but doesn't it seem kind of a weak case to go after Decker? I mean, it seems like we're kind of shooting in the dark to go after Decker on this 50 grand, and we obviously have documentation and a contract that says who's responsible. I mean, as a defense of that, I think, what would we accomplish? That's my question.
So our cause of action against Decker is different. It's not grounded in contract. It's grounded in the fact that he fraudulently withheld the money from the county. So that's why the claims are different. That's why I think we actually have a claim against Decker, whereas we wouldn't against the town for this specific complaint.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor to move ahead with that litigation, and we'll show of hands, all in favor? Opposed? There's enough votes? Carried. Anything else, Mary?
Oh, I'm done.
Anything else to come before, from the committee? Anything from the privilege of the floor, anybody?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned. Thank you very much, folks. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.